It is. We're going to move over. This is where the time where these teams need to prepare for their moving zones. You can see Flick and Aston Doubles HD. There we go, down on the bottom. They're in a good spot. They're kind of on that complete south side of the zone. So they're going to be able to hit probably another pad potentially, or just go for a quick rotate in. You can see Anas already starting to tunnel his way in on that south side, but there's going to be a lot of players in the air. But it seems to be because he's on the edge of the zone, they should be able to just build straight in a nice dead side moving rotate. Love to see it. Love to see it. They've already got a ton of eliminations. They've got 8 already, and with their playstyle, they usually pick up tons, but no, they're going for the launch pad strat. Okay, so they're going to try and get as far ahead as possible, save as many materials as they can. Already 1,000 above the storm surge threshold. Beautiful positioning because they launch padded early. They're ahead of zone. They're not congested with a ton of other players around them. Now they should just be able to freely tarp in and claim that ahead of zone.
And they're doing a good job staying together. You can see, although they used the launch pad, they were able to land close by, instantly group up, so not one player gets split off and possibly caught off guard. And so far, they're just managing to stay ahead of the zone, not get caught behind. Flick actually gets a huge box on an opponent. That could be a refresh, but quickly realizes they've got to stay ahead. There's a trio in front. They're applying a lot of pressure, and now they're getting cut off in the middle of the zone. This is more dangerous as they have to get back ahead, and they're going to have to move together. There's a trio and find a better layer, but that's exactly what they're doing. Recycling old tarps, keeping up the rotate. So far, so good.
Oh, someone's down into the back of the tarp of Flick. That's the difficulty when you create such a beautiful tarp like that. It's going to lend people to spot it and get into the back and try to go for the beam. So you have to be aware of those players trying to come back and close it. As we see Cami City launch up onto high ground. River's team, who is already up there on height 2, in a super good position right now. As we see another launch pad coming out. Ooh. This could be a launch pad play for height, and it was potentially nearly 35 meters, but no, it was not. Flick managed to get all the way up onto height, but no, picks up one big elimination onto small team. That's one team down. That's another one for them. Now up to 9 eliminations total and height claimed. River misses the shot, unfortunately, from Flick there, but doesn't pick it up yet again on the way down. But yes, on his way down, he's fallen. So that's now height claimed by Flick, Anas, and Thomas HD.
This is so big for them. They have high ground. They have the eliminations. And you can see they have enough materials to hold this high ground here. Even floppers, if they want to play off the heal-off game. And if I'm not mistaken, Reese, I believe the impact frag that they got before first moving gave them a chug cannon. So they have just what they need for this heal-off here on the high ground. They can look for eliminations. They can play it safe, and they can secure this placement. But be careful. You still have a tight end trio here on the low ground that they might have to face off against in the last moments. Cami, Seti, and Teak, who also have a decent amount of eliminations here and doing a great job applying pressure to the other trios who are trying to play low ground.
I think this is going to be a classic height versus low ground. Flick, Anas, Thomas HD versus Cami Say Teak kind of situation going on as we move back to Flick, Anas, Thomas HD on height, applying that pressure, trying to do anything they can from the teams in second to be able to not take height from them. They're maintaining it as good as possible. Flick has those materials to make sure he can stay up, but he's going down for those elims. Broken being picked up. He completely fully boxes up to make sure he's safe, but no, he's getting pressured. Flick's getting pressured by Hatcher right now, so he has to make sure he gets out, and he does. It's fine. He's going to slow down, gets up to high ground, and now back to applying pressure.
You can see what Flick is doing is not just staying on the high ground applying pressure with the assault rifle, but he's actually dropping down, looking for refreshes, right? Looking for eliminations with his shotgun and even materials that he can get from those eliminations instead of playing it fully safe on the high ground, which is what we've seen in previous metas when eliminations aren't rewarded as heavily as they are in this Cash Cup Extra. And look at this, Flick here might even be able to find another elimination as all those builds are his, gets the materials, gets the elimination, and now they're just getting more and more points as this match goes on.
Yeah, dropping the floppers there to either Thomas or Anas on height, who's going to be going for the heal-off plates. Both of them staying up there at that point while Flick is going down, applying pressure, picking up a number on Chewy too. Cami Teak still in the game, still alive. As we see Specsmen go to his Flick, popping off another elimination onto Lenko now. That is incredible. That's 15 eliminations total. See how many more we can get. One more comes through onto JK as well, and we see another onto D-side as well. Flick right now completely popping off.
They are unstoppable, Reese. They keep getting elimination after elimination, but now the zone's getting a little small here. You have to start thinking, how are we going to play this? Do we battle it? Do we play the heal off? We have a chug cannon. We have floppers. What are we going to do? Trio versus trio. Cami Seti Teak against Anas, Thomas, and Flick. Who is going to be able to come out on top? There's 6 players alive. Seti got knocked, though. Reese, these are the last moments.
The last moment, Teak playing the medkit. He's just popped it on height. Thomas HD on high ground with, we already know, the chug cannon and the floppers too, as we see the players on low ground. Teak and Cami trying to heal off as much as possible. Thomas dropping down. He still has these heals remaining. He's popped them. He still has the one flopper. I think the chug cannon's run out, but Teak comes up and he gets the shot. But no, the victory royale will go to Thomas, Flick, and Anas with 20 eliminations. This is it. You can see Reisshub and AdamSavage typically is a low ground team, and they are staying that one layer up exactly as I thought they would be. So great layering from them indeed. They've claimed themselves a fantastic spot ahead of the zone, and now they're just going to consistently tarp and keep ahead as far as possible. We see Bocage on height on the top left as well. They've claimed that very, very easily. But on low ground, honestly, with Andrea's team, with Reisshub and Savage, they're just set up so well to do what they do best. They're trying to go for some walls. They're trying to take some edits, but yeah, not overcommitting at all.
Not at all, but keeping up a good, positioning with their team. You can see they're close together. They're looking for picks. They're looking for impact frags that allow them to get more materials, more loot, but they see the zone closed far, so they're going to use a launch pad. Great use of a low pad, actually, going around the builds, not risking themselves any danger, really, at all, and they're just going to continue rotating this out, staying ahead of the zone, making sure they're looking at their sides, looking to see who's close to them, and that's exactly what they just did, securing one elimination by having that awareness, picking up the player, bringing him back so they can get all that loot, and they found some floppers. They now have a chug cannon and floppers. This could be a huge heal-off game for them.
Savage usually also has corn in his inventory as well, so they have a pandemonium of complete white heals ready for their box that they should be able to pick up a victory around this game. They're completely set up to do so, but for Stroky, Slender, and Void, also with the chug cannon in inventory, we're looking good until we just seen Void be picked up and fully finished too, but with almost no materials left to his name as well. With 11 teams remaining, there's not that many placement points that they've gained so far. They actually managed to get the finish onto Erkin, which gives them some of those materials. He has that chug cannon, so he can tank these stone ticks. It's completely fine for him, as Slender now completely tries to get ahead as much as possible.
And we can see on high ground, we have a full trio as well. Very healthy, great position. So that's going to be a dangerous factor for Reisshub, Mr. Savage, and Andretta if they end up getting pushed here as the zone comes to a close. But so far, they're recycling tarps. They're just breaking through, not having to use too many materials and staying ahead. Huge 180 pump from Andretta, just annihilating his opponent. And they're continuing things out, playing together, playing close, breaking ahead, making sure they're staying at the front of that zone. I mean, they're playing this perfectly so far.
Completely perfect play. Look at the positioning. Look how close they are, the spacing, and them all completely staying right next to each other because they're in these scuffed positions with tons of players next to them. They're just trying to find some sort of land that's their own, that's themselves, and they come across Pinky instead. Don't want to decide to take that fight, get the ramp over the head. There we go. They've finally broken out into some space, and they're claiming the head at cones on the floors. As you can see, Andrea using the pre-edit, actually accidentally just going to the reset it, but no, they've managed to claim low, complete low ground now that it's back over land. Finally, they're now completely landed. This is great. They're going to go for these eliminations and try to stay alive as long as possible.
And it's so important to have that real estate on the low ground when you're in the last zones. You can see how far ahead they're building. All those builds are there. So any trio that tries coming close or contesting it, they're going to have a wall on them, a roof on them, something on them that allows them to get that elimination. But it looks like it's going to come down to a 3v3 height versus low ground if they can finish up that last trio that's alive there. But Andretta actually gets knocked. Now it's just up to Mr. Savage and Reisshub. They got the 2 eliminations, though. It's a 3 versus 2. Are they going to battle it out? Are they going to be able to win this heal-off?
Seem to have split all of the heals to one player. Savage has none in his inventory. I'm hoping that's Reisshub and not Andrea who went down. So that's Mr. Savage intentionally being eliminated here to zone. The reason for this is so that the team on height do not get the siphon from this. As we see ETQ and Shady start to drop down, start to pressure, as we do see the 2 floppers in the inventory, but no, he does not have the chug cannon at all. So hopefully the 2 floppers will be enough as he drops back into Storm, and he's found it, but it does not matter because they are in the Kings on the top right now. Vortex, Knight, and High Chris, who have solidified themselves in a very, very good position. I actually thought Vortex alone as a solo early on, so potentially got the reboot off, or maybe they were just off screen still in the game, but they're in a really, really good spot now on height at the opposite height. And 2 Stormer and Karachi on this full south side, potentially going to hit that rotate. This is the first moving zone. This is where everything kind of gets tense and difficult because this is where players really start to get energetic. The excitement picks up. And for guys like Toos, Stormy Right, and Kiriachi, they're on the right side to pad and do it.
Oh, you can see the zone to it pulled straight east, so they've got a great position here to see if they can use a launch pad. There it is. They're going to keep going, maybe even going to play the dead side here, but it looks like they're going to land into the storm to land on the mountain and possibly play high ground here. But there's a lot of other trios that want the high ground, a lot of other trios that are using launch pads, contesting it, so it's a little too risky. They're going to end up playing the low and keep just having an eye out for that high ground. If they ever see anything happen, any battles for the height, they can take a focus at it and maybe take it in later in the game. But for now, they got to play careful. Danny Mundo gotta run because he is getting persuaded here. He's getting pushed by a full trio, and he's playing as a solo as Pablito and Macro have been eliminated. His loot, though, is phenomenal, and he gets a good angle on Wolfies. Will this be enough?
Hope it is. He gets the big tag up, but no, he has to layer change instead. He's low on HP. He does have those minis in the mid kit to pop, but instead of doing those, he's focused on getting ahead to give him the time to pop those heals, which is very, very smart. Potentially go for the minis for the med kit, but I'm not the pro. He is. He's sitting in such a good spot in the zone. Now, Wolfies has managed to miss him, but Stormy, Toos, and Kiriachi have managed to claim height in this game, so they did manage to get it over High Chris's team, who was contesting it here, and this is where they're going to pick up their eliminations. These guys are very, very good at picking up high elims from height when they're up there, so I'm looking for a big game from them. As I see Danamon will go back into Storm, and that's Axe down, so potentially not the 20 bomb as a duo that we'd seen from them that we were hoping for, but that is then one of the chug cannons now gone into the hands of him, so this could be a big solo game for them.
This could be a huge game for them, but Toos, Stormy Right, and Kiriachi have such a good position here on the high ground. You can see Toos has 2 floppers as well in case they want to play this heal off, but you can see them applying so much pressure to these players that are on the mid ground that don't have too many materials left and are trying to rotate to stay ahead of the zone. But Toos actually picks one off, goes for the materials quickly, and that's what's important. You want to play for eliminations here as they're so important. Even if you're on the high ground, it's good to have 1, maybe even 2 players drop down, look for angles, look for eliminations. We've seen how impactful it is if you get the victory royale alongside a lot of eliminations.
Yeah, these guys have been known for their high elimination games in the past, but recently they've been playing super impressively consistently in terms of placement, and with only 1 elimination to bet, this is actually relatively uncharacteristic of them, but they are sitting in a good spot. They're now prepping for the heal game. They drop those 2 floppers to either Stormy or Kiriachi, who's going to play that ultimate high ground, as Toos is now going to start applying pressure to the teams down below, dropping down to see what he can do to try and pick up those extra points, those extra eliminations, and those extra materials as well.
Oh, they're doing a good job right now, though. You can see they've got like a little triple layer going. Stormy Right was on the top, Kiriachi in the middle, and Toos on the bottom, seeing if he can find anything. But now they're kind of planning it out, right? How are we going to play this out? We can see Toos drop the chug cannon, and he's going to play a little more risky, dropping down for some loot, and going to leave it to them to play the heal off with the floppers and the chug cannon. But meanwhile, Toos is going to see if they can stop the heal off game from the team down below. It's a 3 versus 3. There's 2 trios left, and it's all about who can play this heal off better.
It is. They've completely solidified themselves on the low ground as this zone continues to move. We're not close to heal off yet, so hopefully Stormy, Toos, and Kiriachi have enough materials to keep them moving. If not, that heal game's not really going to be that powerful, and if they start to run out, they're going to have to start dropping down and start applying pressure, as we see materials being split there. But Toos only with 1 remaining to his name as he starts to drop. This is the time for it, but no, the cone gets edited. He may get dropped in. He hits the 92 shot. Toos is actually picked up, but he trades eliminations. That 2 down. Peas going into the back playing heal off, and this should be the time, I think, for Kiriachi and Stormy Right to play heal off, applying that pressure, and that should be the victory royale going to Stormy Right, Toos, and Kiriachi. It could cost a lot indeed, as the MXR team starts to get into the back of their tarp as Aware gets a nice pressure, and Aware is an extremely aggressive player, extremely aggressive. You can see him going for those shots, but yes, they used their 1 launch pad that they had. They're going to start trying to land ahead. They've marked a spot to completely land on, not as far ahead as possible to avoid all of the other players that are landing there, so a really good awareness. But as I say that, next is straight into the box with him as well, so we thought that was a perfect spot for him to land on with no other players there. But you know what? You're not the only ones that are in the sky, and talking of in the sky, look who is on height.
I mean, it does. I'm gonna give them props. It does look pretty funny, right? When you have high ground team with the names high ground, and always on height. So if they can maintain this, if they can win the game from the high ground, we're gonna see Noah, Vadil, and Aqua have a huge game here. But I want to see if they play more aggressive. I mean, they know their format is elimination heavy. So if they play the high ground, I want to see them play a high ground where they're able to secure a lot of eliminations while they're up there.
They've been doing that so far. They've picked up a ton of eliminations in the game on average. Definitely a lot higher than some of the rest of them in the lobby right now. So I'm sure that they're not going to be short on elims by any matter. But moving back over to Aware, Styler, and Maestro, 6 eliminations total for these guys. Great layering, a beautiful tarp coming on through, and they've just created such a lot of space that Aware can now try and get any angles, get any shots that he potentially can.
Yeah, looking to see if they can find those angles, just like you were saying. But be careful, because it looks like a trio is trying to reuse their turret. But that's a huge shot from Aware here. Gets one, gets two. Those are huge impact frags. They're going to recuperate all the materials they lost here. Now they're going to have to keep staying ahead. They have to build up front now, as they did get slowed down a little bit. But also, be careful. I believe they're second high right now. And Noah, Vidil, they're not having a good... Well, they're not really fans of the teams that try and contest their high ground, right? That play close to them. So they're applying a lot of pressure to them. They have to be careful, but Mongrel here gets one elimination. Nice shot there, but did lose a bit of shield, although they have the chug cannon. So Mongrel and his trio could try and play the heal off, but now they're stuck as a duo.
Yeah, indeed. Mongrel had an amazing pop-up in the solo cash cup earlier this week, and I hope we see something similar to that right here. He's got one elimination to his name right now with Lanouf in the box, completely ahead of zone in the fantastic position as far as it comes to. But Maestro jumps up on height and actually picks up Aqua. I think that was that point. There's too many high grounds to name who exactly it was in that quick fashion, but managed to finish. No, it was actually Noah Rayleigh who's been picked up there. So Aqua is alone left in this game right now as Maestro and Aware take height, despite the fact that they have actually lost Styler.
Yeah, this is looking pretty dangerous for the team that was on high ground, but looks like now Maestro on his trio, they've taken it. They took out Vidil, Noah, and Aqua. I believe the only one left is Aqua now, who's playing it out as a solo. Mongrel and his trio aren't fully alive. They're playing as a duo, but they're still there down below. Maestro, I don't think he has any heals here. Hopefully his teammate has maybe a chug cannon or a med kit or something that they can use for the heal off, but if not, they're gonna have to go for some eliminations, and they're not gonna let their opponents play that heal off game.
Maestro is the best teammate in the world, even picked up the reboot card in the 9th zone. That's what we like to see from a street. I want teammates that good indeed, but they're managing to stay up on high ground. And this is going back over old builds, so they don't even need to use the materials that they have. They're just claiming free placement as the players down below. Yes, Aqua is actually still in the game. We saw always on height down below. So Peach being picked up. No, I said that. And Aqua was picked up. A bit of the caster's curse, as we see Waffler stuck in the back of the zone, also picked up to this zone, struggling to get through the builds.
Now, though, it looks like it's going to be a 1v2 with Paco. He's going to have to go against Aware and Maestro, as Maestro hits a huge pump, finishing off almost instantly. 4 eliminations on Styler and Aware, 3 for Maestro. That is a...
Yep, Marine's now layered himself into a good spot where he can re-look for those pads like you mentioned, but he seems to have plenty to himself. 4 in the inventory, maybe doesn't need to reuse a pad at this point, but going up to this elevation while keeping him away from all the players on that low ground. As he starts to play Quid, who is stuck behind. We saw them in that fight already, but him and Wolfies are just trying to go for him.
There it is. They're looking for the angles, looking for the shots. They have the ammunition required. Over 500 shots for Mergen here alongside Wolfies, who probably has just as much ammunition. Unable to get the elimination, but it's fine. They've got a good position. They have so many launch pads that they're just going to look for a good time to use it. Launch pad the zone and maybe even just base up, go a little mid-high ground and launch pad again, do a double one. But we'll have to see what they decide to do, as they are playing as a duo and don't have as much materials as they would as if they were a full trio.
Yeah, I think the double pad's definitely the play that they need to make to keep themselves moving here. As we see a ton of the teams rotate. We see Styler ahead of the zone. We see Alexu with Nexus now using that pad. And there we go, Marine also using the pad ahead. Wolfie's actually trying to potentially go for high ground there as Marine starts to get beamed. No, it wasn't Wolfie's going for high ground at all. So they're going to sit. They have the double chug cannon, so they're going to be able to get their HP back up. They're going to have a good spot. Now they have all those materials, all those launch pads. This next moving zone isn't a problem, so they're going to be teaming on Lucia. Lucia completely picked up and beamed by Marine as another player starts to pressure Marine and get a ramp in, but no, it seems to be okay. The short pad comes out and they are out of here.
What a good job there for using the one launch pad, then going on a position that they had so much space to use the second launch pad, and now doing that successfully. It's looking very good for them currently, even though they're playing as a duo. Meanwhile, the Wakey, very top tier player in the EU here, alongside Kinsel and iDrop, who are also playing it as a duo. I feel like there's so many duos in this match. There might be more duos than trios. Looks like we're playing duo Dreamhack here, but trying to see if they can take out Quid, who is playing as a solo.
Yeah, I thought that it was next month, but apparently we're playing it right now as Wakey and iDrop are getting it completely ahead of themselves as they push onto the other duo of Wolfies and Marine that we see here too, trying to pressure onto the walls, but no, Wakey tries to get ahead of them now as iDrop is already up in this place, create a great tarp for himself as Wolfies is now nowhere to be seen. They've done a great layer change to get themselves away from here. Mardosh, the team on height, picking up eliminations in the feed now too, as Wakey's getting pressured on his wall by the Rejects team, which is the Polish trio that we've seen here, who's been popping off a lot today. Good for them. We now see Wakey trying to get away in a difficult spot.
Yeah, it's all about environment here by Lazy Lake. There's some walls like that you can't build on, so you have to either break it or make a nice little jump in, you know, and then you got to get a little bit of that parkour skill to do that consistently. But right now, Wakey trying to see if he can find an angle, maybe a drop onto an opponent that's going to give him a refresh for his materials. But Wolfie's now playing on the side, got a nice little refresh there. Hopefully can group up with his teammate and continue the wrath going, but Wakey also gets a refresh. These duos are dominating right now against these trios, doing such a good job of staying alive and also finding these eliminations.
They're doing that with their typical playstyle, staying completely on the low ground, which is eye drop, and Wakey's complete bread and butter playstyle, low ground to low to mid, and they're doing so good. They pick up another one onto Shade as well down there too. He's moved back to Marine and Wolfies, who have a huge amount of eliminations right now. 13, make that 14 eliminations to their name right now, and Wolfies goes down. So Marine is now left as a solo. The solo Dreamhack LAN winner now has the attention of being able to pick up another elimination. If anyone's going to pop off it now, it's going to be him.
Playing as a duo from the start of this endgame, already securing 533 points. This is a massive game for Wolfies, Pablo, and Mergen, but it's just getting to the end here. There's still 6 trios. There's still so much more points to be made. He has the chug cannon and he has minis, but he's trying to get a nice angle into the zone as he only has 40 builds left, now down to 30, dropping quickly as he's second high. The high ground trios are giving a lot of problems here to Mergen. Out of mats, pushing him, but he's able to stay alive somehow, actually eliminating one of the high ground players, now leaving them as a duo as well. Reese, this is insane.
Ryan is on an absolute streak right now. This is very, very reminiscent of his pop-off winning him the LAN tournament back in the day as well. So this is great to see him back on full form. As Wakey also pops off in the feed too. We see Nexus still on high ground after losing that other teammate, consistently pressuring down on the teammates down below. There's 6 players arrive. I think it's a 2v2v2 at this team potentially right now. It is a 2v2v2 right now as Wakey and iDrop on the road, but this is the game of solos. But Wakey goes down. iDrop still on with low HP, 2 slab. Still managing to maintain himself on the high ground. It is now a 2v1 situation. iDrop down on the low ground as he trying to go up. He goes for the build fight up and unfortunately is picked up. But Nexus team will take the victory royale.
Oh, this is very big. We can also see here that Refsguard, Savage, and Dread are doing a great job finding these teams who are rotating by foot, who don't have a lot of shield, who don't have a lot of loot to work with. They've already picked 2 eliminations. That's 12 points just from that. And I believe they have a launch pad, which is why they're playing it slow here. That's they're going to use to rotate now. They've gotten eliminations. Now they rotate late. They're going to be able to stay ahead of zone here. This is very big for them.
Big indeed. We see Quail on height, always on height, also on height at the moment, fighting for it. This could be a huge victory for them to actually pull themselves all the way up. We see Thomas HD still in the game at the bottom right. He's just used a launch pad. Now flying ahead. This is a solo game for Thomas HD to potentially win the entire tournament, but there are so many other teams still in it.
Noah gets eliminated from fall damage, trying to play the high ground. Aqua as well falls down. He's not eliminated though. Aqua and Vidil are playing together, but now Raid and Stina alongside their trio have taken the high ground. Always on height, gets eliminated by Falconly. That's Aqua. He's down. It's all up to Vidil now. Meanwhile, Thomas is looking to recycle a jump pad here as a solo. If he can do this, this could be very big for his rotations. He doesn't have a lot of materials to work with, but it's looking risky in the middle of zone alongside a lot of trios. This is going to be difficult for Thomas.
It's going to be difficult. He doesn't want to get himself focused. He's trying to use old builds as much as he can. He gets beamed in the back for 35 there. He's now losing HP slowly, but has no time to heal. He's only left down to Woods. He placed the ramp over his head to give himself that extra protection. He slows himself down a little bit. He's trying to now trying to find a path that he can get to, trying to grab through any old builds, but he has 15 remaining, enough to give himself a little bit of tarp. Every single bit of placement points matters right now. He's up to 708 points. Every team that is eliminated, he will gain more and more placement points and hopefully solidify himself as the winner of the Cash Cup Extra today.
Ooh, 708 points. Zone closes far though. Only 3 builds to work with. That's 1 wall, floor, and ramp. Now only 2. Has to do something big here. Needs a refresh, needs some materials, and there it is. There's an engagement. He's going to look for it. He's going to see if he can get a big shot off. 132, is it enough? Gets the knock, but gets eliminated. And the back. Meanwhile, we've got a full trio on high ground right now, just applying pressure. But look at that. Mr. Savage and Andretta are alive with 6 total eliminations, but be careful. Mr. Savage getting almost eliminated there. Gonna be able to heal up now though. They're playing it as a duo. This could be theirs.
This could be theirs. They end on 714 points, and I'm not sure if Savage, Refsguard, and Andrea can clutch up to that point, but someone in another lobby may too. But everything to play for Savage and Andrea right now, because they have the potential to complete climb up into second, into third, getting more and more money and more pride as well. Savage left alive. Right now, Spring inside a cone. His material's completely out. He gets beamed down from high ground. He's now 63 HP total. He sits down, slows down to the low ground. He tries to do the same thing that we saw and Nas and Thomas HD going, but no. Robab is picked up on 8 high ground by Andrea.
Now, High Ground's only playing as a duo, as Andretta did eliminate one of the High Ground players, but Eyedropper's down below too, gets eliminated. Andretta looking for one more elimination. It's against Lecce. Will he be able to secure it? No, he's going to get eliminated to Storm. Actually, Splash there is alive. My bad there. Also, Marwaka trying to tank zone, doing a medkit play here, which could actually turn out very well for a few eliminations, but now there's only 2 trios left. 5 players. Looks like a duo on High Ground versus a trio on Low Ground. Who's going to take it?
Who's going to take it? Indeed, 100 HP remaining on stand. Not going to pop any minis, but pickups a big HP elimination onto Splash. And that is the victory royale overall for him. The final game over.
Wow.
That victory royale for Stena and Raid and Romad will definitely move them up a big, huge amount, because they now was at 615 points. Be incredibly impressive. Win off spawn, dominate every fight that they're in. And look, that's placed them up in number 1.
Number 1 with 714 points. Last week's Cash Cup Extra, number 1 was Merstash, Malibuka, and Shiz King, who had 653 points, which would be 3rd place right now. This